Okay, here's the finishing stages. Take a look at the legs here. What I've done. Um, what you do is you take a little tiny dab, drag it across the top of the armor plate, and then just feather it down back and forth. It'll fade away for you as you get down. Leave a little transition. I did the same thing here on the lower part of the legs. Drag it across the top, drag it down. Allow the brush to kind of take away some of the paint in the middle of the plate. And voila! Space Wolf. Here he is in comparison to the Grey Knight. Um, very similar yet very different. Okay, more to come. Here we are. Next step. Let's get some of the bystanders out of the way here. Space Wolf, Fenris Gray, or Fenrisian Gray here. Now this stuff I'm just going to highlight. All I'm going to do is drag this across the edges. I'm not going to get into the feathering. Oh, I kind of botched it there. Let me scoop a little bit of this out. This stuff's a little thick, so I'm actually going to use some glazed medium on this. Here, I'll pull my palette over so you can see. Not much to really see here on this, but I scooped a little bit out. I'm going to put a dropper of glazed medium in it, just to thin it a bit, to break the surface tension, to help it smoothly go onto the edges. As you paint, you'll get a feel for when you need to do this and when you can get away with not doing it. Okay, let's see. So now I'm just going to line all the edges. I'm going to probably do this in multiple applications. You don't want to put it on too thick in any given spot. The thinner the better. If you botch too much, just quickly clean off your brush and then reverse what you did. It should come off. A little too much paint on my brush just now. Yeah, I'm kind of making a mess. Too much paint on my brush. I'm excited for Game of Thrones to come back on later this month. I just reordered HBO. So what I'm doing here is Just using the very, very tip of my brush to drag it across these edges. The fingertips, just touching it on to the fingertips. That was too much, too much. Take some of that off. Take it off. No one's perfect when they paint. Painting is a series of happy little mistakes. Until you find some that work for you, that you like. That was a better job of lining that one. I keep going back to that helmet because it needs more. It needs more highlight. Doo-doo. I've kind of gotten away from this extreme highlighting in my painting style. But it works well sometimes, and I wanted this to be more of a simplistic, old school approach. Whoa, too much. Wipe, wipe, wipe. Reverse. Spin him around. Get his lower body. Am I still on frame? I am. I'm not being incredibly careful. Mind you, this is not a master class paint job. My goal for these most of these videos is to show you stuff that's within your painting level to do. It wouldn't do you much good if I sat here and just did stuff demonstrating power, talent, skill, whatever you want to call it, that you don't have. I'm not saying that I'm incredibly skilled, but some guys definitely get uh, intimidated and they just kind of give up because they can't recreate some of the what they see on some of these tutorials. I hope I didn't just sound too obnoxious about myself. It's not my intent to sound conceited. Sometimes it's hard to find the right words to say what I'm trying to say without offending. So please don't be offended. There we go. Certainly good enough. Looks pretty good for armor. That's just about it. Let me come back in a few. Now, I'm going to go through and start correcting some of my sloppiness. Starting with the eyes. This is where you could probably use, I'm going to go slow and take my time and make it all look good. Clean up. A little dab. Now, when I do my eyes, I always paint them a little bit bigger than they actually are. I paint black over the bottom ridge of the eye. Just to make them look a little bigger. Be careful not to get your black onto your details. Well, what you're doing with this is just kind of touching up anywhere that you touched gray onto the black to make the black stand out, to make the gray more crisp. Between the fingers. Around the cuffs of the wrists. Some of these lines. Yeah, I'm just dropping some black in to redefine some of these areas. To clean up. Sorry if you can't see right now. This is a hard one. This spot is blocked by the bolter. The feet. Oh, let me make sure we're on. Try and be careful. Spin him around. Let's get his backside. Butt plate. Up around his heel. The leg behind the knee. Just clean that mess up. The backpack. All right. So let me finish the lining. I'll come back in a second.